depressed. I don't buy hotels. Oh, we're off.
Hello and welcome to the Reds Report, Barnsley FC's longest running podcast. Proud to be part of the TalkSport network of fans. As always with us, Ian, or Reds Report Ian, as he's known on Twitter. Evening, Ian, you all right?
Good evening, chaps. I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Except for Steve, who's a little bit depressed because he's back in his hometown of Wilthorpe, which don't sound as exotic as
I see. Tell everybody where I live, and all these Phillips lovers will be around my house bricking me windows.
Sponsored by the Gorbet tab. Of course, it's Steve. Steve, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. Yourself?
Yeah,
very
good.
good.
Well, we'll start on a positive, shall we? We talked about Northampton last week, and I think we all said, you know, we should be able to go out, you know, to come away there with 3 points. I don't know what I want. I'm going for 3-1 every single match. So I was wrong yet again because it was a 2-1 win. Ian, first of all, of course, Devante Cole scored again because when he puts a Barnsley shirt on, that's what he does. You often wait for like a goal of the season contender, and it's fair to say we got 2 in one match on Saturday.
Yeah, Styles was like just a moment of brilliance, wasn't it? To hit it, just to think of hitting it on his left peg as it come out from the keeper. I mean, try that another 99 times, and I dare say it'll go over at stand, it'll go to corner flag. But thankfully on Saturday it went right in. And Cole, if that doesn't show you how confident the lad is, nothing will it? Because it wasn't just the run. He hit it from quite far out. He could have gone he could have dribbled a few more yards, really, and got right on top of the goal.
I thought he'd have gone a bit closer, I must admit.
Yeah, and he hit it, and I thought, he's hit that a bit early, but he just flew in top corner, and I thought, well, that is the confidence that's brimming through Cole, isn't it? And that just summed it up for me. So yeah, 2 great individual goals.
I mean, Steve, it's fair to say that, you know, Styles is a bit of that enigma because I think what the lad wants and where he currently is might be a little bit of, you know, different ideas. But there's no denying, is there? And not just the goal, but dare I say, we seem to be more fluid in midfield when Styles is playing. He's just got that little bit extra. Maybe some of the others midfielders haven't got, you know, like a Phillips, for instance. So, what was your thoughts on Callum Styles?
Wow, on that note, that lad, he's got skills. We know he's got skills. He is a very, very good player. Probably is a better standard than League One, to be honest. But we need to see it. And the only way he's going to get the move that he wants, and the only way he's going to keep his hungry place, is to show us that he has got that talent. There's not many players, I wouldn't have thought, that could have hit that ball into goal from where he was on volley. It was unbelievable. But he needs to be producing that sort of thing basically every game. And then he'll get his move away, which is obviously what he wants, and we'll make a few quid out of him. But if he can help us this season, even up to January, if he can help us get up that table, I'll get into a good position. All for it.
Yeah. Ian, for the first time after Saturday's match, we've partnered up with Pundit, so fans can fill in. Personally, think a very easy form online where you can give your scores and some feedback. After that's all collated, we get an average score for every player that played during the match. The bottom 3, Cadden 5.1, Russell 5.18, Phillips 5.45, and we'll include in there Watters as well at 5.55. Is that surprising, do you think, or is that fair? Because you know you always get some people that, just to be funny, put 10s down, everything. Having watched and what we've seen, is that a fair reflection? Were they probably the players that you thought, you know, they perhaps weren't at the races as much as others?
With some of them subs, they come on, so they didn't get a full 90. I think recently it's probably about right. I think Collins made, is it 4 changes for the game?
Yeah.
And we commented, well, I think Steve commented, you could have probably made more, couldn't you? But you've got to be careful, you can't make too many. But of the ones that were going to go out, I think it was going to be Watters, Cadden, Russell were 3 of them, weren't they? After what had happened at Pompey. at home to Pompey. So I think that's probably sums up the mood of what fans are seeing of their performances. I've seen a lot written this week about Marsh and Fabio Jallo, and a lot of fans would have them in above Waters in this squad at the moment. I know you got to give Waters you got to give every player a bit of time, but he has been here last season as well. Cadden's great going forward, but susceptible on the break. So I think he might not get played on Saturday against Blackpool with the threat they've got on the counter. So I think those scores probably summed up the performances over the last couple of games, I would have thought, not just Saturday.
Steve, for you, the top four then. Lopata, 7.09. Cole, 7.91. Styles, 8.36. But the top-rated player by Barnsley fans for the match against Northampton, Liam Roberts, 8.55. We've talked a lot about on-field and players in midfield, the players that are not producing and players that are doing week in, week out. And for a keeper on loan, he's not doing himself any harm, that lad in goal, is he, Roberts?
Not at all. Not at all. Yet again, he kept us in that game. I mean, we talked about the 2 goals earlier on. Yeah, if you'd have watched first goal and then gone and got your dinner and had a walk around, did a bit of shopping in Barnsley, maybe nip down at Asdewy or Lass and come back and then watch Cole goal, you might have been happy. But in between, Northampton played some really good football, and we were towards end. They were really pushing, and Roberts again was outstanding. Lopata has been a little bit, for me, a bit of a revelation this season. He came in, and everybody, that first game, that first friendly that I went to, and he were like a bull in a china shop, and you thought, God, he's a red card every game. But he's proved that he's got a steady head on his shoulders, and he can play as well. So you can't fault any of them. Cole obviously needs to be up there, definitely. And yes, Styles had a decent game, but that I must admit, that pundits thing, it is easy to fill in. I did quite enjoy it. That sort, it's just something a little bit different, and it is a fair reflection to a certain extent of what people thought and what people saw against Northampton, definitely.
A downside of the Northampton match is obviously we finished with 10 men. Kasper Lopata, who coincidentally I predicted being player of the season way back when it was still sunny and daylight at 9 o'clock. He's out. Short term, the club have said. I'm pretty sure it was a similar thing with Connell at the start of the season. So let's hope it's not as short. That turns out long term. That's a big miss, because you just mentioned it, Steve. But Ian, he is a key, isn't he? Because he's almost become, I think he is a bit of a leader. I think he does the simple things right. Sometimes maybe a bit full-blooded, but as a fan, you don't always mind, as long as it's not detrimental in cards and everything else. That's a huge miss against the side that we're going to come up against and discuss later in Blackpool, that have got some tricky and pedigreed players playing for him. So he's going to be a huge miss, isn't he?
He is. I'd read something tonight that said he's hoping it'll be a couple of weeks, but that's a measure of the man. Whereas, whether it is actually 2 weeks, well, obviously you'll have to be guided by the medical staff. But I suppose with the Bolton cancellation, it's probably not the end of the world. Would you say he'd certainly missed 2 games? He would have probably missed 3 at least, with them having a period now where they would have played Saturday, Tuesday. Big miss. I completely concur with Steve. He's been a great signing. If you as a new signing, you want him to hit the ground running, and he's hit the ground running, and he looks like he's been here for a season or 2, and he's got, like I say, the attributes that a fan loves. He gets stuck in, but he's not then getting red carded every week, but he can put himself about. But he's almost like that Mads Anderson 2.0, isn't he, really? Yeah. Or he's got the capability of. So, yeah, huge miss. Be interesting to see how that defence reacts with him missing. Because with all the turmoil of losing all our defenders, him being in there has been a positive this season, without a doubt.
Yeah. We're not going to discuss Steve yet who we think will replace him, because I think that probably ties into Tuesday's performance. no slice of luck in the Pizza Cup. A thoroughly deserved 3-1 win against the Manchester City. It took me all week.
We'll get your coat.
I thought of that Tuesday night and I wrote it down. 3-1 win. Now, there's two ways of looking at this, is there? Yeah, Manchester City, one of, you could say, the top club in Europe, with one of the finest academies. It is their under-21 side against mainly probably our under-23s. But you can't just write this off, because some of these players have got huge pedigrees and play for huge amount of money. And when you saw the lineup, which only really could be probably Benson, Watters and John Russell as sort of like people that have played in the first team. Sorry, I've got...
Visiting. You've got a visitor. Not wrong with that. Go outside.
Red card. Straight red, that.
Straight red card. Straight red card. Colour of his hair. It was very much an under-23s. Now, when you saw that lineup, is that we'll give these under-23s a chance because they've deserved it? Is it, I'm not going to risk injuries in the Pizza Cup? Is it a bit of both? Because, I mean, Watters played. How did you see that lineup? Obviously, result aside, it was good, but was it a risky sort of choice by
No,
Neil
it
Collins?
weren't risky. No, it weren't risky at all. Them sort of games are ideal for trying your fringe players and for bringing a couple of your youngsters on to give them a taste of that first team atmosphere. First and foremost, I've got to say that the Man City side, they have some unbelievable players. Some of them young lads are head and shoulders above. They really are. And they'll no doubt go on to be really, really good players, but they're still lacking a little bit of physicality. They do tend to overplay it at times, and they were not really much to finishes. But a really good side, and actually a really good game. But I look at the Barnsley guys that played, and I actually enjoyed watching that game. Probably one of the most enjoyable games I've watched this season up to now, because some of them young lads play for that shirt. Your Jallo, your Pickard, Chapman.
Well, I'll go through the team and both of you just sum up performance. So we had Ben Killip in goal.
Didn't have much to do, but what he did, competent.
Yeah, a back three of McCarthy. Great to see him back. Mel De Givney and Jack Shepherd, which, I mean, one of those you would presume will come in on Saturday.
Well, De Givney, whatever his name is, were outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. From that first game when he were playing and he could have got sent off 4 times in the first 10 minutes. He looked really assured on ball. He were making some forward runs. He looked mobile. He got some good skill. I would have thought he'll be one that'll step in for Lapata on Saturday. I would have thought so anyway.
The holding midfielder then, Ian, was John Russell. Scored a goal. Performance, what did you think?
He had to play in that game, didn't he? I think dropped to the bench for Northampton. It was actually quite interesting, because on the last podcast, Steve was saying we don't score any headed goals. We don't win any headers, and yet we scored 3 headed goals.
We scored 3 headed goals. Yeah,
you're saying we've got, and Russell is one of them that has the presence, and you look to him, physicality, to be bossing in midfield, don't you? And he doesn't always do it.
No.
He had been doing all right to a point. So I think the goal will probably do him a world of good. Whether he'll start on Saturday, I don't know. But he had to play. I think
one negative about Russell, and we all know it, is he's slow. And at times ponderously so, because a couple of times Man City player went past him, and if he'd have had to set off tomorrow to get there on Saturday, he did look at times really, really ponderous.
The midfield 4 then, Danny Benson, Theo Chapman, Josh Benson and Hayden Pickard. Now, Danny Benson we saw a little bit off in the first match of the Papa John's Trophy. Hayden Pickard, a new name to drool over, Steve.
Absolutely amazing. For me, he went man at match. I know a lot of people went for De Givney.
Number 6.
And he did have a good game, but Pickard was head and shoulders. He looked He were up for it. He were fighting for it. He were fighting for the shirt. He made some lovely runs. He can tackle. He can pass the ball. Definitely one that I would be wanting in or around that first team to get a little bit more experience and maybe get a few minutes here and there. Same with Theo Chapman. Theo Chapman again going forward, which is his. I'm guessing he's an attacking midfielder. Going forward, had a really strong game, made some lovely passing and some great runs.
And then the forward, well, the two strikers that started, Ian, Fabio Jallo and Max Watters, which is a new combination to sort of talk about. Two completely different strikers, but again, Fabio Jallo showing what he's got, because I'm not saying he's underrated, because I think everybody raves about him, but against a Manchester City academy, he don't care who he plays, does he? He want to go past, he wants to score.
The lad just wants to play, doesn't he? And the lad knows where the net is. And again, I'd read, I think Collins has said that he's not going to send him out on loan, and he's going to, over the next few matches, get a bit of a sniff around the first team squad. And he's commented, Collins, that some big names are going to miss out. Now you've got Josh Benson coming back. Now, and I know Connell's still a long way off, we think. But apart from Lapata, touch wood, most of them are staying fit. And he's going to, we mentioned it the last couple of weeks since this transfer window, we have got sort of competition in places. But with these young lads now as well, with this EFL, the Papa John's or whatever trophy, they're getting game time and really making a claim to Collins that, you know, if you're good enough, young enough kind of thing, get them playing. So I think he's spoilt for, he could probably have 10 subs, couldn't he, rather than 5. Be interesting to see who misses out. But yeah, they've the likes of Jallo and like Theo Chapman, like Steve said, some of them younger players have done the chances a world of good in these couple of cup games. So it's going to be interesting. He's like I say, some big names are going to miss out, not even in the starting squad.
One of the players that played not on Tuesday but on Saturday is Cosgrove, who sort of, were like a deadline day signing. The bits that I've seen, I think there is a player in there. I think that's a type of player we need to buy more. It's taking a little time probably to get that. Is it fair to say, Steve, that match sharpness? He might have the fitness, but it's the sharpness, isn't it? That's...
Against Northampton. There's a player in there, definitely. He's not match fit. Nowhere near match fit. There were times he looked slow. He was blowing out in his arse. It's going to take him, I think, another good month to get up to that match sharpness that you want. But I think once he does, I think he'll be definitely, probably one at first 2 or 3 names on team sheet. However, just to throw a spike in that, Watters actually played well on Tuesday night. He made some good runs, some good hold-up play, some really nice passing, and he put himself about. And I think that comes back to, people are right slagging him off. He's come back and he's not doing much. He's still not had any time. He does not get many minutes because he changes. All right, we know Cole's always going to play for the time being until we sell him in January for a lot of money. But it's that partnership with Cole. Maybe Watters isn't the right player to play with Cole. I would like to see, here we go, I'd like to see Cosgrove and Watters play together.
Well, again, because you must look at the notes. That was my next question. We've seen a lot of strikers. We've seen Fabio Jallo. We've seen a bit of Cosgrove. We know Cole scores goals. We know Watters is trying. What would be your favourite pairing up front on Saturday? You've got Blackpool at home. We know Blackpool has got the threat. Because Cole is scoring goals, he is obviously going to play. But I think sometimes he is that type of player because he's tall. You know what I mean? He seems to get fouled a lot, but doesn't get much. Do you want another physical tall player? So do you want somebody like a Cosgrove, or do you maybe go for somebody with a bit more finesse, like a Jallo, who's got the pace? Who do you play? Because does it matter when Cole plays? Can't you play 2 alike? Do you need to opposite? Who would you play? Ian, you can go first. Who starts?
I'd still think we should persevere between Watters and Cosgrove. Like I say, if they need, I think Watters was looking sluggish first few games. I think he's needed minutes. I think they're both going to need minutes, aren't they? Jallow is a bit of a luxury. He's a young lad. I wouldn't necessarily throw him in. I think it's a luxury. When I say a luxury, we've got a lot of strikers, and I think you can take your time with Jallow. I wouldn't necessarily throw him in and play him for 60 minutes. I'd probably like to see him come off the bench with 15, 20 minutes to go, and add that extra bit of pace when defenses are tiring, and gives them something different to think about. And you can bide your time with Jallow while all the other strikers are all fit. But I think Cosgrove and Watters Watters might be a slow burner, and maybe Cosgrove as well. They're maybe not going to hit the ground running. They might need games. But then McAtee, he's on loan, isn't he?
Yeah, I wouldn't play McAtee up front. I'd love to see McAtee just behind front too, because he's got speed to burn. He likes to get stuck in. Sometimes he's running 25, 30 yards and diving in. But sometimes that's what you want to see. You want that commitment. I would like to see him play behind front too. I really would. Because it'd make a very good attacking front three then. Because he'd come back and defend. Because he does.
Let's look ahead then. So we've got Blackpool at home Saturday. Seaside are sitting in 14th. Barnsley in 6th at the moment. Now we're still quite early in the season. 8 or 9 game play depending on what team. Ian, you've been chatting with one of the Blackpool pods. They're expecting a win, aren't they? They seem pretty certain that they're going to go away with 3 points. So just set us straight. Why are they lying?
They've not won. The danger is they've not won away this season. They had a really good result last week, thumping Reading 4-1. But up to that point, they haven't scored many goals. So I think they're a bit. Had that not been 4-1 last week, they might have been a bit more downhearted. They've been more tough to beat than anything else. But I think that result on Saturday's really kind of lifted them. Although they haven't got the best of records here, I think they're expecting to get something out of the game anyway. Let's put it that way. I think it's going to be a tricky game for us, and especially with our home form as well. Crikey, it's not been the best, has it? So not that going to Blackpool would be easy, but I think we seem to. The fact we've got 3 away games after Blackpool, I'm quite pleased about that really, because we seem to we're unbeaten, aren't we, away? Yeah. They're quietly confident, Blackpool.
We talked earlier, Steve, about the defence and Lapata missing out. Somebody will have to come in. You think our number 6 will probably come in because I can't pronounce his name.
Yes, that French chap's going to. I think will come in. That's it.
Yeah. Gail, I should say this only once. Blackpool, though, they've got Jordan Rhodes under, and wherever he goes, he scores goals. Defense is always.
He didn't do right well at Wednesday, though. Let's be honest.
The thing is, they always seem to score against us, though, don't they? When they've got these players that might be going through a bit of a period, they might have not won away. Come to Oakwell, we'll give you. Do we need to be worried, Steve?
Well, we've always. I'm not being funny with these sort of any sort of team. When they come to Oakwell, of course we've got to be worried, because it's that unknown of the Frenchman. I would have thought will be the one that comes in. Might be wrong. He might put McCarthy in because he had a decent game as well on Tuesday. If the Frenchman plays like he did in that first game, Jordan Rhodes, that's him. Jordan Rhodes, he might end up kicking him up in air in first 10 minutes because he'll wriggle past him, and it might be a sending off, or who knows. Then again, he might keep him quiet. But I think it'll be an easy game on Saturday. I've got a really good feeling about Saturday. I really have. Depending on what team he puts out, I think, all right, you've got Jordan Rhodes. How old is he now? He must be in his late 40s, I would have thought by now. He's what? 43? 33, give off.
403.
So, and they came down from Championship. They're not doing very well at minute, but we've got the players that can keep him quiet. We've got the players that can hurt him. And I think, dependent on what he puts out on Saturday, I'm hoping he takes notice of some of them players on Tuesday. I hope he has a bit of a swap round and he brings a couple of players in and he takes a couple of players out, because I think they deserve to. I think the players that can come in deserve to come in, and I think there's a couple of players that deserve to be out. But no, I've got a good feeling about Saturday.
Straight after Tuesday after that, Cambridge away, Ian. Different proposition. Yep. Cambridge actually higher in the league as it stands this evening. Cambridge are in 10th. Weird, isn't it? Because I'm always, when I say should we be worried about Blackpool at home, I'm not worried about Blackpool. I'm worried about our form at home. How we can be hot. It's like Katy Perry, and it's hot, it's cold. Whereas our away form has been pretty steady. I had to get that in. Other singers are available. So Cambridge on a Tuesday night. Ian?
2 tits in midfield. Sorry.
Hey, all the podcasts are available if you get fed up by now. And you can subscribe if you want. Cambridge on a Tuesday night, then, Ian. On paper for you, is that then an easier proposition?
Yeah, I think so. Well, we've done our little prediction, haven't we? The four games. The three of us have predicted, and I think on paper the Cambridge one looks the easier of the upcoming fixtures. One, because our away form's been so good. Two, I think we did the double over them last season quite comfortably, and we did it with 10 men last season when Kitchen got sent off. The only slight concern is they've had a few games at home, and I think they've won 3. Drawn 1, and the only one they lost was against Stevenage, who were 3rd. So they've not done bad at home, but I still think we should have too much for Cambridge. No disrespect to them, but I think we should have too much. So I'm kind of thinking, score draw on Saturday and 3 points on Tuesday, and I think 4 out of 6 won't be too bad. Do you think out of those 2 games?
Yeah, and I suppose you said it earlier. The Bolton match being postponed that drops quite nice, doesn't it? Because it gives him a chance to, get rid of any, niggling injuries. We know Lopata's out. You certainly don't want another one, especially in defence. Well, wherever. Barnsley are 5th in the table at the moment. So Portsmouth are leading the charge. They haven't lost as yet. So they've played 19 points. Then it's Oxford on 18, Stevenage on 18, Port Vale 17, and then it's us and Exeter on 16. Fair to say, Portsmouth probably. I mean, we talked before the season started. I think Portsmouth are, they're not there by accident. We saw what they did to us. They're a very, very good team, and you probably expect them to be there, won't you? There or thereabouts at the end of the season. Out of that other lot, then, Steve, Oxford, Stevenage, Port Vale, Exeter. Fair to say that maybe Oxford, but who would have ever put Stevenage and Exeter, in the top 6 after like 8 or 9 matches played? Who else do you think is sort of coming up and charging? I mean, we're nicely nestled in 5th at the moment. Any other teams that you think at the end of the season, will Oxford stay there? Will Stevenage be a surprise package for the rest of the season, or is it just taking shape?
Well, think about last season. How many people would have said Plymouth would have gone up as champions? So there's always a dark horse. I mean, Port Vale, after first game of season, you'd think Port Vale would be shocking, and they're above us. So you're back to a league where anybody can beat anybody else. There is a few sides down at bottom that are not doing very well. I mean, Reading's not doing very well. Wigan, with their points deduction, seem to have dropped off a little bit. You'd expect Bolton to come back, because we know they've got a really decent squad. But your Stevenage, Port Vale, personally, I can see them dropping away. Exeter had a fairly decent season last season, so they're always it's always a tricky visit down to St James's Park. But no, I think you're going to be looking at probably usual suspects, to be quite honest. Myself, your Portsmouth, us, probably Bolton,
Peterborough. Like
Peterborough, obviously, yeah, Miss Peterborough. Where's Derby at minute? Derby's not being mentioned very often.
Derby's in 9th on 13.
Yeah, you see,
only 3 points behind.
it's early. Let's face it, it's early days. There's only like 3 or 6 points dividing like top 9, 10. So yeah, it's early days. Yeah.
Right, we've come to that point in the podcast then that we're going to do our predictions. I'll do mine first. 3-1 home win, 3-1 away win. Steve, what about you?
Is that it? Oh, right. Okay. You're not having a goal scorer then for any of them?
Oh yeah, no, of course, we're having a goal scorer. Devante Cole in both.
Right. I wonder what odds you get on that then. I think it's you know what I've gone for next 4 games. So, and you both shot me down in flames, but I don't care. Win on Saturday. I think I'm going to go 1-0 on Saturday because I think it will be tight, but I think it will be too much for them. Really do. And then Cambridge away, I think that could be a 2 or 3-0 for me. Your scorer on Saturday will be Callum Styles again because I think he might find a little bit of form. And your scorer at Cambridge away, I'm going to go Max Watters because I think he does need a bit of a run. Same as Cosgrove, but I think he deserves it, to be honest.
Right. So the comedy elements have now spoken, so let's get real with Ian and his prediction.
No pressure. I'm going 1-1 on Saturday. Ooh, and I think I'm going to go Herbie Kane.
If he plays.
He'll play.
Okay. I expected you going Phillips, to be quite honest, and then I might as well go now.
That's his next one. 4-0 against Cambridge. Patrick.
Cambridge, I'm going 3-1. And Cole amongst one of 3.
Unbelievable. I'll tell you what, I'm glad there's a lot of thought goes into this podcast, do you know?
I like how Carlo got it in quick. I'm going first after last week. We all
every match. If we draw Manchester City away in round 4 of the FA Cup, we're going to win 3-1. I'm going to go for 3-1 every single match, and I'm just going to hope once I'll be right. Just once will do me. I can live off that till next season when it's the 10th season of the Reds Report. Because let's be honest, I've been waiting 6 seasons to get one right, haven't I? So what's a few more? So double header, 1 at home, 1 away. You've heard it. Cole is definitely going to score in both matches, and we will win 3-1 away at Cambridge, and another home victory, according to what? No, you said 1-1, didn't you?
Yeah. I'm going 1-1.
Are you going? Are you going to match on Saturday, or is it only me going?
Yeah, I'm.
Yeah, go on. What are you doing?
Straight out on the piss at 5 o'clock.
Unbelievable. So call yourself supporters. Were you going anywhere nice? I bet you're not going to the Goba Tap. This is where you need to be. Other pubs are available, but this will be even better. All right, Jed. My mate Jed. Everybody will know Jed. There will be time we've done anyway, come end of season. Everybody will be in Goba Tap. And it's no bigger than my front room. Fantastic. No better.
And
that wasn't the place we went to after the Bolton game, was it?
No, that was bigger.
Only much bigger.
Much bigger at all.
No, not much bigger at all. No, that were a fancy wine bar establishment in town, weren't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Carlo had his glass of Rioja
with his pinky out.
Yeah, he had some tart. I don't know if it was his pinky.
No. Police spoke to me about that, and I'm not going to do that again. So, all right. And for all the podcast and all the articles that Steve writes for us, Steve don't write anything that Ian
Steve
writes.
Can't write. No idea. Completely illiterate. I'll just argue with folk on Twitter. Top quality. Crack on, lads.
Check out our website, www.redsreporter.co.uk. Don't forget, after both Saturdays and Tuesday evening's match, there will be the form posted on Twitter in partnership with Pundit, where you can submit your player scores.
Fill it in, boys and girls. It's well worth doing, and it's quite interesting as well, and very easy. So,
and it gives us
And a
something
bit of
to
fun,
talk
a
about
bit of
next
fun
week.
as well.
yeah, that gives us something to talk about. Yeah, it saves having to write a script. Oh, we don't write a script anyway, do we? Oh, well.
From next week, the segment in the show in which we discuss player ratings and comments made by fans will forever be called, Steve?
Clap or crap.
I thought it were hit or shit.
You can have it or shit if you want. Only to okay. I wanted to do clap or crap just because I thought, kids can watch that. But if we're having it or shit, well, kids can't watch it, can they?
And don't forget, if you're under 18 watching this podcast, go and tell your mum you've been very naughty. You've been listening to the Retro Report. We'll be back next week. You Reds.